Hello, my name is Allison Sink, and this is my second draft of my working values document. This is being created as I am halfway through the MATFA program and have learned a lot and experienced a lot in my classes as well as in my own practical classroom experience. In my previous working values document, I used the template of an iris flower as a map in organizing my working values. I've chosen to keep the template of a flower, but have moved away from the iris specifically. Originally, I chose an iris because it is my birth flower, and I have always felt that it has represented me well. For this version of my working values, I have followed a structure that my students in my AFTA 6500 summer teaching classes are using to create plant bodies that represent themselves. I began this process by finding plant shapes and structures that I felt a connection to. Many of the shapes I chose from various plants that I have been growing in my own high school classroom. My students in my AFTA 6500 teaching did this same process where they collected pieces of plants that they felt resonated with them and they were able to connect with. We all cut these shapes out, painted them, added details, and then arranged them into a new cohesive plant that is more personally representative of us. So this version is more personally representative of me than my first draft flower because I've built it in every part. This new flower feels stronger and sturdy, and I feel more attached to it since I intentionally chose and thoughtfully made every part of it. Like in my first draft, I chose values that I thought fit well within the anatomy of my plant and decided where my 7 areas of growth fit within those categories. I will describe why I've placed these values where I have and how these choices differ from my working values draft 1. So this is my completed flower, and I'm going to describe each section starting from the roots at the bottom of the flower. For the roots, I've assigned the category of knowledge and skills, and that is no change from my original draft. That's also where I had it in draft 1. I chose to represent this through the roots because I think knowledge and skills are the root of my teaching practice. I believe my knowledge and skills are at the root of everything I do as an artist and a teacher. Nothing happens without beginning here. The root system is also something that is expanding and contracting and regrowing throughout the rest of the flower and strengthening everything else. So I feel that knowledge and skills feed into all the other categories, and it makes sense that they are feeding into and supporting my flower structure so much. Within knowledge and skills, I chose to include articulation of art-specific skills and content. That I moved from impact, where I had it in draft 1. I chose to move that because I believe that the articulation of art-specific skills and content is something that I'm very strong in and very passionate about in my teaching practice. I think my curriculum should very clearly teach my students specific art skills and knowledge, and then show them how to apply those art skills and knowledge in creative ways that they get to choose what to do with. But it's my job to help really strengthen those skills. And to do that, I need to know my content well and know and develop those skills within myself, which I'm always seeking to do as an artist and a teacher. Also in knowledge and skills, I've included approach to creating a safe educational space. This is also moved from my original draft. It was in community at first. I've moved it because I feel that I have gained more knowledge and skills on creating a safe educational space within my classroom, mostly through practical classroom experience, but also through the MATFA program and things that I have been learning about universal design and specific strategies to really meet the needs of all the students in my classroom across a variety of experiences and backgrounds. That is something I feel I've learned a lot in, but I am excited to continue to learn more about as I continue through the MATFA program and through my teaching career. Moving on to the STEM, I have assigned the STEM community because I believe that community is at the center of everything we do, so it's at the center of my flower. Community upholds everything else around it. We don't see the blossoms and have the growth that we do without a strong stem that's backing and connecting everything across the anatomy of the flower. So I think that community does that as well and can support so much of the students that we are in, and community should be at the center of my teaching practice and as of my pedagogy as I'm building it. In community, I've included approach to curriculum, which was moved from my knowledge and skills in the first draft. I moved approach to curriculum here because I feel like my approach to curriculum, well, it was originally in my knowledge and skills because I felt I needed to gain more knowledge and skills on it, but approach to curriculum should be shaped on the specific community that we are working with as educators. I think I've worked on that a lot in my time in this program and in my time in my teaching career. One example specifically is finding really specific artist and arts examples to support my teaching practice and connect to whatever our curriculum is and whatever unit we're working through at the moment, to artists and art pieces that are going to resonate more with my specific student demographics. So specific ways I've done this is I've done my own research and I've compiled different artists and found ways to work them and their examples into the projects we're doing and use them as a source of inspiration, because I think there's power to that in showing these students artists who are in professional spheres that are really reflective of their community members, especially people from Salt Lake who are successful artists. In community, I've also included behavior management. That has not moved from my original draft. It was also there in Working Values Draft 1, because I think, like approach to curriculum, behavior management should be shaped according to the community that we are working with. If I want to manage my students' behavior, I think I truly need to know them, and I need to know that the communities that they are a part of, and find ways as an educator that are going to resonate and work specifically for them. I think that when teaching, treating my students like autonomous human beings, and really coming at them on a similar level instead of enforcing a teacher-student power dynamic is a great way to solve behavior management issues, because I think they feel seen and they feel heard, and that is important when creating classroom structures and rules and trying to uphold behavior standards within a school. They are people and they need to be seen and they need to be understood within their specific community groups. Moving on to transformation, I have assigned transformation to the leaves, and this is changed from my original draft. Originally, I put transformation on the blossom. I decided to move transformation to the leaves because of experiences I've had in my own classroom with my own classroom plants. And the structure of the leaf that I've included in this collage is traced and used from a leaf that is in one of my most slow growing plants in my classroom. I think that the leaves, when you really take the time to observe them, they grow and they change so much, and they adjust to the conditions they are placed in. They adjust to the light, they're going to reach for the window, they're going to grow around the things that are placed in their path as obstacles. But it happens progressively. You don't notice it unless you're really truly looking for it. So with approach to curriculum, with transformation, I feel like my practices and my knowledge and skills and all these things and experiences as a teacher have changed more progressively, instead of a big dramatic transformation like a blossom that's going to catch attention. I think you need to pay more close and subtle attention to it. Within transformation, I've included approach to curriculum, which I have moved from knowledge and skills. I've moved approach to curriculum here because I feel that my approach to curriculum has really transformed in my time throughout the MATFA program and throughout my teaching practice. I've learned a lot more about building effective curriculum that meets the needs of my students and that follows the standards for my state of Utah and the expectations of my district. And it's been a very progressive change, and it will continue to be a very progressive change that is always happening, always wrapping around obstacles and reaching towards the most effective light that's going to reach my students, like the leaves in my classroom. So that's why I chose to conclude that here. Lastly, I've assigned impact to my blossom, which in my draft 1 was my leaves. Now I have made it the blossom because I feel that is the most important and obvious thing that we see from a teaching practice is impact. All these efforts that we make as educators to have effective pedagogy and build curriculum that's really going to resonate with our students makes a positive impact and really affects them as the people they are in high school and that the people they are going to be as they move beyond high school. Within impact, I've included inclusion/inclusive practices. That's no move. That was originally in my first draft because I think that inclusive practices in the classroom are going to have a very strong impact on our learners and a strong impact on my overall classroom environment. I feel that fits best here and is important to keep. And then lastly, I included approach to community engaged learning, which I moved from transformation where it was in my draft 1 to impact. I moved approach to community engaged learning because I feel that this is a very impactful and powerful tool, an area to work within as an educator that I have learned so much about since being in the MATFA program. My approach to community engaged learning is something that I didn't fully know how to do in the beginning of my teaching practice and at the beginning of this program because I felt like I didn't have specific strategies. Now I feel that I have so many strategies and so much stronger knowledge on how to involve my communities with my students and with the community members outside of the student community and the school community into art-specific projects, and I've been able to do it through multiple examples of projects throughout my MATFA program. I feel that this strongly fits an impact because it's my transformation as a teacher, but also it's the impact I think that is most visibly seen within my students and within my teaching practice. So that is my working values draft 2 and all of the different areas that I've chosen to include in the different parts. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.